Here's our thoughts for the Acolyte Episode 3. This one's a controversial one, so stay tuned.
Acolyte Episode 3. Don't even know the name.
Destiny. Come
Destiny?
on.
Is that it? I kind of really enjoed this episode.
The only reason I remember that is because it's about children, so it's like Destiny's Child.
Okay, yeah.
Which is kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe it was just me thinking that.
The whole turning the Jedi and making them look super weird and evil is kind of my thing.
Yeah. So for those of you joining us, we did a live stream of episodes 1 and 2. Unfortunately, it was taken down. Thank you, Disney.
YouTube.
We were taking all their money. And we had a lot of good points. We really enjoyed it. So kind of our thoughts were we were enjoying the show for what it was, these first two episodes. How do you feel about this one after watching the first two?
So the first two I was quite happy with. I had a theory and it didn't go where I was thinking. I thought it was kind of be like the Revan thing, but then it turns out they were twins. Not. Anyways. This one I really liked because, like I said earlier, I think them turning the Jedi and making them look kind of evil is right up my alley. And I didn't like May the first two episodes, and I liked Osha, and now that's totally changed. I totally way more prefer May over Osha. I really like what the kids did there, and how May was like following the rules and wanted to be part of the family, and Osha kind of just like screwed everyone over. Jumped out there when the Jedi called her out, and that was kind of the end of everything. And then I don't know, May went a little crazy and burned the village down, but I don't also think that that's actually what happened. I feel like that's kind of just a front for what the Jedi did, and I feel like the Jedi came in there and...
Well, we did see her start the fire, but we didn't see how those corpses would be, right?
And we also don't know if all of the stuff went down before or after the fire started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And why did May come start that fire?
So I felt like this episode, because there's 8 episodes in the series, right? I felt like this was an interesting one for episode 3 because we're still getting to learn these characters, the Jedi.
Yep.
So we know that 2 are dead so far, Corbin and Indara. We know there's Saul, and we know that's the only character we have any kind of exposure to.
Mm-hmm.
Indara dies. Carrie-Anne Moss didn't make it to the credits.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, wow, you're right. That's sad.
We knew she was going to be in flashbacks, but like her character was...
It's crazy. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, she served her purpose. It's to be this this particular role. We've talked about this. Like, I like the Jedi. I feel like I'm defending them. Like, I don't need to defend them. But this is a strange series for them. Like, it's really painting them in a different light.
Yeah.
So I like that this was about the witches and the coven and the thread. So, like, we're seeing that other group that use the Force, or the thread as they call it, and, their society and how they kind of fear the Jedi.
Is grooming the right word? Did you feel like Soul was kind of grooming Osha?
So when we were watching this, you and I were having 2 very different points of discussion. You made a point that like you felt that Saul was very much like uncomfortable and kind of going after her weakness and her sadness, and like I saw it more as like he's genuinely trying to do good, and he's genuinely trying to teach. And the reason I say that is because like we're exposed to him in those other episodes, and he seems like he's a good person.
But are you like, you can't sit here and tell me you don't feel like he was trying to take advantage of that?
I think so the one line that kind of saved it for me, because it does seem very kind of creepy, and even like the Jedi are super hypocritical. Like, are you training children? We don't take children.
We don't take children. Come with me, little one. I'm like, what? I think, creepy, weird old man.
I thought about this when he said it. If you're from the Star Wars universe, you're born to a family. Yeah. All of a sudden, you have like this Force power. You have these abilities. Yeah. No one can explain it. You can move things. You can see things. You can hear things. You can feel things, and you're different. And like you're an outcast because no one understands you. You know what I mean? Like there's nowhere for you to...
Are you referring to Osha?
Just in general. And then all of a sudden, like these Jedi come along and they're like, no, we're here to help you.
I get what you're saying.
So when he said the line, he's like, there's children out there, you're not alone. Like, almost like the X-Men. Like where like parents have like a mutant kid, and they're like, what do we do with it? And Charles is like, okay, I'll take it. And it's not like, he was building an army of like X-Men. Yeah. But like he was like, no, I'll put you in a situation where you're surrounded by others like you. You'll learn from people who have, mastered these abilities.
And it seems like Osha wanted to do it, and that's why I feel like it was creepy the way he went about it, because I feel like he was manipulating her to do it when like she was already sold. You know what I mean? It was like the weird things, and I already forget exactly what he was saying, but like the weird way he was like playing on what you said earlier, playing on her sadnesses and playing on like her weaknesses to make her want to come even more. It's like she was already sold, bro. Like
I was very conflicted in that final scene, the hug. We'll put that up there, and like kind of his emotions. I took it that like, and you said that you felt that, and even the other person we were watching with made a comment that like it felt uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and it was a female who made that comment too. Like how I felt that he was uncomfortable in that like he wants to do good, but he just didn't know how to, or like when he comes face to face with it, like. But then you and I kind of talked about it. We don't know what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So maybe he's in trauma himself. Like maybe he just saw like.
Well, I think they went in there and butchered everybody.
But that's what it is. So maybe Indara and Kalnak, or the Wookiee, whatever his name is, did something.
Yeah.
And we saw that at the very end, Torben had a scar.
You pointed that out, which was a good observation.
It was fuzzy, so like we know that's how he got it.
Yeah.
So something's happened. So I take it that maybe Saul was genuinely good. Like he's like, hey, you're not like, he's just trying to do good. But meanwhile, like Indara and the Wookiee and like maybe they're a little bit more of like the space police.
So okay, what's your theory on what happened then? Like I'm gonna give you mine real quick. I think the Jedi went in there, demanded the children. The witches said no. You can take Osha and not May because May doesn't want to go with you. And then they got in a fight. They all died. May saw them fighting, died, went up and was like, I'm not going to let you go. We're kind of all we got, right? And then...
Oh, I like that, yeah.
And then, no, I'm going. And then May's like, well, you're going with the people that just butchered our whole family. I must kill you then. And that started the fire.
That plays off much better.
But I like that. Like that, and that's like from May's eyes. Of course, you'd want to hunt these Jedi down. They just came in there and butchered your whole family, right? And Osha saw nothing, so she's still arrogant to the fact that the Jedi came in there, demanded something, and the witches said no. Like, and you got to look at it.
The Jedi not being there, the
exactly. So it's 100% on the Jedi. And like, if some, like me, that was had children, but if we had children and someone came in and was like, I'm taking your kids, and you say no, and you fight, like, you know what I mean? Like,
okay, so then this gets to the other thing that I wanted to get into, and it all leads together. So the other person that we were watching with is into like witches and coven and all that stuff, was just loving this.
Yeah.
Was really taking it like the coven was just like not a good or bad, because she says that. It was just like a neutral faction, and it was cool to watch. And you're like, okay, they're just like, they use the Force.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of made an offhand comment that like some people think it's like dark what we do. And I was like, well, what are you doing that make people think it's dark? And then she explains in the episode, full spoilers, that she made Osha and May.
Yeah.
And like I explained to the other person we were watching with, I was like, the last time we saw that in the Star Wars universe, it was Palpatine making Anakin. Like, how did that turn out? It was a dark side, the ultimate dark side user, trying to make life out of the Force. And it ended up being like, yes, Anakin, there was a redemption story, but like, he brought there was a lot of not good stuff there. So it's like, well, if the witches are making life too, like, maybe they're not the good people.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you shouldn't be playing God.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the Jedi are there, because like, they know something's up.
Well, that's why they're there. Because they said that. They said, we feel you have children.
Yes.
Right? And so they obviously felt that, which is a good theory, but like, and it may be dark, but they were also not about to do dark. Like, it didn't seem like they were going to do dark things. You know what I mean?
Like, they were branding children. They were like,
but with like, and it didn't seem to hurt. It wasn't like branding or like it was leaving the mark of your people.
On the Jedi and they did in the show, but like for taking these children and indoctrinating them as like warriors and like,
but taking
police.
Children. She raised these kids. That's different.
She made
them and raised them. But mothers make kids. It's the same thing, just done with the Force. Like, she made these children and raised them.
No, I think it's like, okay, when you have a kid that's like born with the Force, of like non-Force user parents, like that's just like it's the thread or the Force, whatever, coming through in this way. She made it. She was like baking like an apple pie.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, at that time, it didn't seem like she had any dark plans with those children.
Right.
She was just raising her kids to take over her spot when she was done.
Because
right?
That's the whole what she Ascension said. Thing was like, they're like, we haven't done this in a while. And obviously it had to match up with like the Earths and the moon all lining up. But what did she say? It was like, do you promise to carry on the secret when I'm dead or something?
Lineage or whatever.
So we know nothing about that stuff.
No.
So she's just like telling this girl, will you carry on all this stuff? Like,
but I'm hoping she knows about, like, May would know about that.
So maybe May knows about it. Maybe May knows that it's a dark history. Like there is some dark shit going on. I also really enjoyed, just a funny thing, how all the witches were like congregated together, and then they like separated to like let the old one stand up, and it was like, what, were you just shutting her out? And then that laugh.
Can we talk about that laugh when they're all doing their chanting thing, and that one girl's just like.
I wish we had done a live stream of this one. Dude. I actually ran out of my seat. I was drinking water. Colin had me laughing at the first laugh, and then the second one kicked on, and I was like, I thought maybe I like misheard the first one, and you fucking. I ran right to the laugh and sprint like.
That was so funny.
I know. I want to do more one shot, so I think this one tonight, guys, be patient. Might be like a one shot, no edit. Like, I'll throw some art up here there, but. It's more organic this way. Like we just finished watching.
Definitely. It's like what, 10 right now? 10, 15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were a little late starting, but it's fresh.
What is your theory? What do you think happened with the Jedi and the witches and how they all died?
So the Jedi are like essentially policing the Force. That's what it's made to seem. So we're gonna get like this, that they're the bad guys, that they're like out there. That's only we can use the Force. But I think in reality, the Jedi were kind of keeping an eye on these dark side users, realize that something happened, and yes, I do think there was an altercation. So May said at the beginning that Jedi, when they pull out their sabers, like they have to kill or something.
Yeah.
And it was like Saul went to pull his out, and she was like, no.
Yeah.
No, but he was like handing it to Ocean May, to like take a look at this.
That's
or whatever.
A good point.
But I think that, like you said, Mom's going to say no, either to both of them or one of them. Because you heard the Coven talking about it. Like let's just kill the Jedi.
Yeah.
But if any Republic blood is spilt, like...
Yeah.
So I think something happens. Maybe Torben is rash because he was, like, mind-controlled by them.
What if she, like, mind-controlled him to attack the other Jedi?
That would be a really cool one.
And
that's why he has his silence and he doesn't speak, because like maybe
he did some terrible things.
Yeah, and he was like consumed. That's a really good theory.
That would be cool. And that would also like, because he had a massive scar, like Klanaka or whatever, just like gave him a good one.
Yeah.
Do you think she's gonna pick up a lightsaber?
Osha or May?
May.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's doing this for a saber.
Interesting. Because
remember the whole thing was like, so we'll talk a little bit about episodes 1 and 2, because we obviously live stream footage is gone. She is killing them without weapons because she has to prove herself to get her weapon.
That makes sense.
I have some theories, and there's a lot of stuff going around the internet about who the Sith actually is, who that masked figure is. So a big one. We'll put the picture up. Was, I think her name is Ventressica or Ventrix?
The green lady?
Yes. So there was a lot of speculation that it could be her because she's not seen very much. She's introduced. I think she's a character from the High Republic.
Mm-hmm.
So it would seem strange to kind of do that. I do have a theory on who I think it is. From a standpoint of a TV show, I think we've already been introduced to them.
Mm.
So I think it's someone like, I could be wrong, but like look at the weak turnouts. Like when Merrick in Ahsoka just turned out to be nothing.
Yeah.
Like that sucked, right?
Yeah.
So I think they've already shown us who it is, and they're going to kind of maybe subvert expectations. Because that's the whole thing about a Sith. A Sith is supposed to blend in and like, look at Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of control stuff. They're aware. They're front and center, but people aren't aware of them because they're so like obvious in there. It's like, oh, it can't be that person.
Dude, if it's the shopkeeper, I'll be so upset.
That is my theory.
That's your theory?
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah. So I'm going to call it right now. I think it's Kamir is the...
That would be so stupid.
So if you watch his interactions with them, he plays coy. He plays dumb, but he knows a lot. Like when he starts talking about like you look like her and you... There's a lot more to his kind of side that we're not seeing. And he blocked when May... Didn't like they kind of get in a scuffle and he like blocks May's attack very easily or whatever. And even when we see him get into the shop, he's just very kind of unassuming. So I think that it's him, but she doesn't know that it's him.
Interesting.
Like no one knows it's him. Like he's probably living a life of secrecy.
Yeah.
Because what is he? He's like a... If you look on the Disney, like the actual Disney description of him, they're like he's a mercenary or something, that he goes like from place to place and like he doesn't really have a backstory, and it's like that's like the perfect kind of Sith, you know what I mean? Like mercenary, goes and does stuff.
Dude,
and, like,
he just seems so lame.
Yeah, so that's my theory.
Plus, he can't be a Sith. He can just be a dark side user. He can't be a Sith.
Has to be Sith.
Can't be a Sith. The time frame doesn't add up.
He would be the master
of Tenebris.
No, Yes, because it would go him, Tenebris, Plagueis, Palpatine, right?
100 years ain't that long.
Think about it, man.
Dude, Palpatine's 50 when Phantom Menace takes place, and
so this takes place 100 years before Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah, and Palpatine was 50 when Phantom Menace took place, right? And Plagueis took Palpatine in at like 18 or something. So Palpatine or Plagueis was already... We're talking like...
So 18... What, he could have been for 25, that's 37. Like there's a window.
I guess maybe we are in that time frame.
I think this guy is obviously connected because like we know the Sith ruler too, but I think he's training acolytes and I think he's setting like this kind of fear in the galaxy out.
Buddy, that's an interesting one. We need to see what May saw, is what we need to see. Because I truly think May watched her whole family get killed. Why else would you hold such a grudge? Right? Like, literally her one duty is kill those Jedi. Like, that's all she cares about, you know? Like,
yeah.
If it was the Siths or the Dark... whoever, if it was their bidding, I feel like it wouldn't matter the Jedi. You know what I mean? But it's more her bidding. Like
I think the Sith is just using her as a weakness, but we need to figure out how did the Sith get connected to her? Like, is the Sith, was he controlling the Coven? So like, are we going to see later that like, you know, the Witches' Coven had a tie to this?
Or maybe he just went and picked May up.
But how would he have known?
Feel it in the Force?
I feel like when she said that she made him in the Force, I feel like there's something more there. That like, yeah, hey, maybe you reached out and you're trying to make this child out of the Force, but if you can, it means other people can too. It means like as you were molding this child, maybe that Sith felt what was going on and like maybe he played a hand. You know what I mean? Like, because the Sith is connected somehow to that.
Yeah.
How does she get to?
That's a good point.
So what's our end speculations for the show? We did this last time and obviously we lost it. This is kind of a contained story. So the Jedi don't know about the Sith and Phantom Menace?
Correct.
So that means every Jedi that is exposed to this Sith probably not going to survive?
Yeah.
Like it'll be a contained story?
Unless the Sith never comes in play.
What a disappointing payoff though would that be?
Like you said, maybe he's just playing the chessboard. Using the pieces.
But I figure like the Jedi Masters will like eventually be like, May has had training,
But aren't the Jedi also super friggin' arrogant at this point too?
I think they're not...
A Sith. 1,000 years.
I think at this point they're not as bad as Aaron Phantom Menace.
But still getting there.
Well, for sure.
Right?
I think it's like a progressive thing, but I think at this point, like my opinion, what we've seen, they're still trying to be like
and maybe
these
Soul.
peacekeepers, these police, like this, like out
Yeah.
there
So
presence.
Soul's with the new Jedi now. Do you think he's going to meet up with Klanaka, or do you think
So how did episode 2 end? That we saw
he was like exiled?
self-exiled, right?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
So isn't it strange that everyone that was in that scenario self-exiled? And Dara went to that world by herself. Torben
Everyone but Soul,
took everyone but Soul.
because he got what he wanted.
But what is Soul doing? He's on Coruscant training children. So maybe he, in his own way, is trying to make up for like the failure of May and Osha.
Mm.
Like maybe he's just like, no, or maybe he's just a genuine person. He's like, I was once a child who was alone and like scared, and like I just want to make sure that like others aren't like that. You know what I mean? Like
It's weird how he said he saw May die when he really just saw her fall.
yeah, but I mean, okay, even at that, I called it out. Why, he couldn't use the Force to catch the
100%.
90-pound girl? Like, but again, maybe they're not as powerful. Maybe they're not. We haven't really seen them do any Jedi stuff. We saw Indara fight.
We've just seen to be cops.
Oh, one last thing. You're gonna hear this a lot, but I was digging the witches. The whole thing about the thread. Don't know if I can take the Dragon Ball Z Street Fighter moves.
Yeah, that was insane.
Like, okay, but it's like when you think back to some of the coolest Jedi stuff, it's just like it's a handout. So they're still doing the same thing, but there was something about like the witches, like I don't know. I was honestly expecting like someone do a photo edit of like literally just
I'm excited. I think they did a good job.
I'm enjoying it. So till next
Hit
week.
subscribe. We'll see you next week.